grab a cup of tea. We're gonna be here a while. Hi guys, it is April. Grab yourself a cup of tea, a snack, something. I've got a big haul for you guys. I am having a lovely apple cinnamon tea. It is so nice. I'm trying to get back into teas. This one is it's just working for me. I have 20 books. Oopsie. I have 20 books that I want to share with you today. Some of them were kindly sent by publishers. Some of them were kindly sent by you guys. And the rest I got at Value Village. Let's hop in. Let's start with some of the publishers that sent books my way. First is The Divines by Ellie Eaton. I think this is a debut book by HarperCollins. And this follows a woman, and we go back and forwards in time. And we follow a woman who is reminiscing about her high school experience. She went to a place called St. John the Divine. It was an elite English boarding school. She currently lives in LA. But she finds herself brought back. There is an event that brings her back to the school in England and the girls that she grew up with at that school. It says they were fiercely loyal, sharp-tongued, and cuttingly humorous in the only way that teenage girls can be. She hasn't spoken with any of them for many years, but her memories start flooding back, and I don't think they were all great. The boarding school was shut down very suddenly, I think while she was there, and they were closed in disgrace. So what in the world happened? I don't know, but I've heard very, very good things so far about this. Sarah Perry on the back says it was fantastic. So it also says that it is a blend of Normal People and The Girls by Emma Cline, and you guys know how much I loved The Girls. I haven't read Normal People yet, so I can't speak to that. But let's read the first line of The Divines. I really hope it's good. Okay, prologue. Jerry Lake looked like a bird with a broken wing, something small and green and feathered lying there in the middle of the lawn, a budgerigar. Okay, no, not a 5-star first line. Where is Jerry Lake? I don't know. Not 5 stars, but I'm still interested, obviously, in reading this. So thank you so much to HarperCollins for sending that my way. And then Blackstone Publishing kindly sent me 2 books. The first book is something that I have been waiting for so long. They sent it to me. It was somehow inexplicably sent back, and they sent me another. And I'm so grateful because this is probably like top 3 books I was most excited for in 2020, and it's The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard. I've read Rewind by her, loved it so much. And this is about a serial killer and a victim who survived. So we followed this woman who was a survivor of this notorious, terrifying serial killer who hasn't been caught. She's written a book. So this also has a book within a book. You read her book, and then you follow the serial killer picking up that book at a bookstore and reading it for himself. He's not been caught. This was very much inspired by Michelle McNamara's I'll Be Gone in the Dark, because when that was published, the Golden State Killer had not been caught. And so Catherine Ryan Howard actually read that, realized he hadn't been caught when it was published, and went, I wonder what that would be like. Like, I wonder what would happen if he picked up that book. I'm also curious if he ever did read that. Anywho, that's based on this kind of inspired, was inspired by that book, and I'm desperate to read it. I'm so excited, and I haven't read the first line. You have no idea how hard it's been to hold off reading the first line of this, but I wanted to wait until today, and for you guys, okay, let's do it. Jim was on patrol. Okay. Nope. Wasn't a 5-star first line. But I'm not going to hate on it. Obviously, I'm desperate to read it. So there's that. And then they sent me a book kind of randomly. I didn't ask for this one. And it is like, I think it's number 19 in a series. This is Funeral for a Friend by Brian Freeman. So it says that Jonathan Stride, our main character, his best friend, made a shocking deathbed confession that he protected our main character by covering up a murder. And like just hours later, they find a dead body in that guy's yard. I don't know. That feels already like a spoiler. I don't know. It could be really good. I don't want to ruin absolutely everything about the series, but maybe you can just like dive in where you want to. So yeah, that's Funeral for a Friend. Okay, let's read the first line of this book. Drip, drip, drip. Okay, not a 5-star first line. And now I want to share with you 2 books that were so kindly sent to me by one of you guys. Beth sent me 2 books from my Amazon wish list so kindly. I was just so lucky. So she sent me a little note as well. She said, I wanted to send you a few books to brighten your day. So sorry you've had to deal with all of the booktube or the YouTube nonsense. I really enjoy your videos. Thank you for creating them. Sincerely, Beth. Beth, that was so nice of you. You have no idea how excited I was when I opened the package. Well, you do, because I wrote you immediately on Instagram. So I'll share them with you. They're both thrillers and they're both like part of a series, which is wonderful. The first is The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. So I heard about this book series by Abby over at Crime by the Book. I really love her. I very much trust her. She has a blog. She has a great Instagram as well. So anyway, this is about a serial killer. He kidnaps women and he calls them his butterflies, and he actually tattoos on them, I think, to resemble butterflies. And I believe that he kills them. That's what I think. So we follow one of his victims who somehow escapes from where he keeps all of these women. And we follow 2 FBI agents who meet with this woman and are trying to get information out of her, but are also getting a strange vibe from her as well. It just sounds so creepy and so good. I've just heard great things, and it's been on my radar for years, literally years. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Beth. Okay, let's read the first line. It says, the texts tell him the girl on the other side of the glass hasn't said a word since they brought her in. I like that first line, like 4-star first line, nearly a 5-star first line, but not quite there. But really, I'm so excited. And then she also sent me another book that I've heard really good things about from What Victoria Read. Now, this is in the middle of a series, but apparently you can start here. This is where I think Victoria started, and then I think she went back, and that's what I'm planning to do. This is 13. The serial killer isn't on trial. He's on the jury. What? What? Why is he on the jury? How did he get there? I don't know. So we follow, I think, from this guy's perspective. He is literally on the jury of like the trial of the century, and he's the one who is the actual killer. Unfortunately for him, like I think he thought he was going to get away with it scot-free, but it sounds like someone is on his trail and knows that the person who is being tried for this series of murders isn't actually the murderer. So I just think this sounds like so much fun, such an easy read for me, someone who enjoys terrible stories, terrible people, terrible stories. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read those. Oh, so we have to read the first line of 13. I nearly forgot to do that. Okay, prologue. Are you ready? At 10 after 5 on a raw December afternoon, Joshua Kane lay on a cardboard bed outside the criminal courts building in Manhattan and thought about killing a man. That's pretty good. Is that 5 stars? I think it might be. Okay, the next 3 books are, they're all World War II books. And my friend and neighbor put up a little post on our neighborhood like Facebook page and said, I've got these books that I'm giving away. They'll be on my front porch. Well, it was the same day that Libby passed away and I was feeling very low. She also kindly brought over this lovely little plant for me, and then she posted that, and so I went over. I was like, anything to make me feel better, and my goodness, these made me feel a little bit better, which is super nice. So thank you, Maria, for doing that. I've got 3 of them here. The first book is a nonfiction World War II book called By Chance Alone by Max Eisen. It's a remarkable true story of courage and survival at Auschwitz. Now, Max now lives in Canada. When he was 15 years old, he and his family were sent to Auschwitz, and he somehow survived the selection process, and he was inducted into slave labor. Now, he did survive, obviously, to write this story. He was liberated by the Allies, and it's about his experience, and it sounds incredible and obviously incredibly sad as well. But I'm really eager to read this. I actually hadn't heard about this, but it's really well known, it seems. So let's read the prologue, the first line of the prologue. In the spring of 1998, I was asked to accompany a group of 150 Toronto teenagers on a trip to Poland, where they would participate in the March of the Living, an annual event that takes place on Yom HaShoah, or Holocaust Remembrance Day. That sounds so sad. It's not even like appropriate, I don't think, for me to like rate that first line on a star level, so I'm not going to do it, but I'm very eager to read this. That is for sure. The next 2 are also World War II books. They are both 2020 releases. Thank you, Marie-Ève. So the first is The German Heiress by Annika Scott. And I picked this one because it has a blurb on the back by Susan Meisner, who I really love. She said, Scott's finely drawn characters bring to life not only the struggle to rise from the ashes of war, but also the depth of resolve often required to regain redemption. So this follows a woman named Clara. She was a German heiress during the war. She got the nickname the Iron Fräulein because of her role of operating her family's ironworks empire. Now that the war is over, she's left with a false identity and a lot of questions about her family's history and identity. She decides to move back home with her friend Alyssa. But when she gets home, Alyssa is missing, and she does meet with a man who's also looking for Alyssa, and it's about their experience together. It sounds interesting. So, okay, the first line of The German Heiress. Everybody stole. I like that first line. I wouldn't call it a 5-star first line. I'm being really picky today. Hey? Next is The Secret Messenger by Mandy Robotham. This book kind of goes backwards and forwards in time, and that way that I love for some reason. This goes back in time to Venice in 1943, and we follow a woman named Stella who's leading a double life. During the day, she works for the Reich. And then at night, she risks her life as a messenger for the Italian resistance. And she is able to bring the Nazi secrets that she's like writing through a typewriter during the day. She's a secretary. She's taking those notes and bringing them to the Italian resistance. And I don't know anything about the Italian resistance, so I find this very intriguing. And of course, it's a very dangerous job. We flash forward in time and meet a woman named Louisa who finds a mysterious old typewriter in her attic. And then she tries to find out who it belongs to. Probably Stella. So there is that. It sounds really good. Sounds like a kind of easy read, I would say. So The Secret Messenger, let's read the first line of it. Prologue, Clowns. June 1994. Okay, let's go. Someone is having a hard time with their car outside. Anyway, okay. A sudden eruption of noise guided us, one burst after another, pushing up into the air like fireworks on a dark night. I don't know. I'm being picky, not a 5-star first line. Moving right along to my enormous stack of books that I got from Value Village, guys. Okay, so after hearing you guys rave and rave and rave, I've decided to, dive right into The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I've got the first in the series. I think there are a few, and then he died at one point, so then someone else continued the series. I don't know, but I'm going to try it out at some point, so I got this. This follows a man whose niece went missing, I think like 40 years ago, and he has continued to try to find her. I think he's a private investigator, and he hires 2 people. One of them is a journalist, and another is a pierced and tattooed punk prodigy. Together, they try to solve mysteries. I don't really know much more about it than this. Like, I haven't watched the movie, which I'm grateful for now because I want to read the book. So, okay, let's read the first line. I mean, it's a well-known book, that's for sure. Prologue, a Friday in November. It happened every year, was almost a ritual. I don't know, that's not a 5-star first line, but I am intrigued. Okay, next is a book that I've seen everywhere. It is nonfiction called Sons and Soldiers. This is the untold story of the Jews who escaped the Nazis and returned with the U.S. Army to fight Hitler. Can you imagine that being your life? I don't know. But it is nonfiction, true story. Oh my goodness, it sounds gripping. So this follows this group of boys. They were called the Ritchie Boys, and they trained together and fought side by side. And apparently they were in charge of being part of elite teams. They were able to join every major combat unit in Europe, and they collected key tactical intelligence on enemy strength, troop and armored movements, and defensive positions that saved American lives and helped to win the war. Apparently, a post-war army report found that nearly 60% of the credible intelligence gathered in Europe came from the Ritchie Boys. Like, I have chills just at the thought of that. I'm very eager to read this. I don't know why I walked past this book so many times and didn't pick it up, but I finally stopped, and I'm really glad I did. So here is the introduction, first line of the introduction. When Hitler came to power in Germany in 1933, he declared war on his country's 500,000 Jewish citizens. So not a 5-star first line, but it does sound absolutely fascinating. That's for sure. Okay. I also got another book that's part of a series that you can dive into wherever you want to. And that is Tana French, The Faithful Place. So this book follows a man named Frank in 1985. He was 19, madly in love with a girl named Rosie, and they decided to run away together. And they had a meeting place, and he showed up and she didn't. And he just thought, she's not ready, so I'm going to leave. And he did leave and like moved on with her life. However, it turns out that something terrible happened to Rosie, and her suitcase was found one day behind a fireplace in a derelict house on Faithful Place. And we find out what happened to her. And that sounds good. It does. I've heard like mixed things about Tana French. You either love her or don't really love her, or kind of not hate her, but like feel meh. But I am very eager and I'm really hopeful that I'll love her. So let's read the first line. This is the prologue. In all your life, only a few moments matter. Again, not 5-star. I'm being so picky today. I don't know what's going on. Okay, next is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This is meant to be a bit of a mystery where we find this group of friends who decide to rent a manor, I think, in the winter to celebrate New Year's together. They do. They do. A storm sets in. They're, not going anywhere. But that seems okay. Everything will be fine, except one of them dies. And that means one of the friends murdered that person. That sounds like fun. I just also really love the cover. So let's read the first line. It says Heather. So I think we follow many perspectives. That's kind of what Lucy Foley does. I read her latest one. I can't remember what it's called. The guest list. Yeah. So Heather, now January 2nd, 2019. I see a man coming through the falling snow. Not a 5-star first line. Okay, next, another thriller. This is Jilly McMillan, To Tell You the Truth. And then it says, Everybody Lies. So this follows a woman who is a prolific writer. She is very famous. Her husband is also a writer, not as famous. He's jealous about that. And he disappears one day. And this isn't the first time that someone has disappeared in her life. Her younger brother, I think, Teddy, also disappeared. And so we dive into her past and we find out whether or not she is a big liar, basically. And did she kill these men? What has happened? So let's read the first line of To Tell You the Truth. So prologue. There are the facts, and then there is the truth. Again, not a 5-star first line, but that's fine. Okay, moving right along, we've got another nonfiction book. This is a book that I had on my Amazon wish list, and I'm so lucky that I found this at a Value Village. This is 7 Fallen Feathers, Racism, Death, and Hard Truths in a Northern City. This is Canadian. This is going to be a hard one because this follows 7 Indigenous high school students who were murdered. Between 2000 and 2011, 7 Indigenous high school students died in Thunder Bay, Ontario. 5 were found dead in the river surrounding Lake Superior below a sacred Indigenous site. And this looks into what happened to them. I believe the idea is that they were murdered. So that is going to be a very hard read. I need, as a Canadian, to be a responsible, respectful, this is the bare minimum that I can do. Indigenous people in Canada have been treated horrifically in the past and in the present. And this shows like it's not getting tons better. We have this idea in Canada that like we're above racism, and no. So let's read the first line of the prologue. You see, the giant Nana Bijou made a deal. I don't know what that means, but I will read it and find out. Moving along, this is a kind of gothic, maybe haunting story. This is The Lost Ones. Some houses are never at peace. I just look at this cover. Oh my gosh. I love rose gold. Any gold foiling on a cover, I mean, I pretty much immediately want to pick it up and have to stop myself and And yeah, but this was also on my Amazon wish list. So I did already want to read it before I looked at the cover. So this follows a woman in England in 1917. We follow Stella. She is grieving because her fiance has died. And she decides to go and stay with her pregnant sister, Madeline, at her imposing country mansion, Grayswick. But when she gets there, the house feels very uneasy. There is sobbing in the night, little footsteps on the stairs, and she starts looking into the house's tragic past. That sounds so gothic and wonderful. Okay, let's read the first line of The Lost Ones. This is chapter 1, Sunday, the 6th of May, 1917. The brass plaque, polished so it shone like burnished gold, was mounted pride of place on the chantry wall, a new, if unwelcome, addition to the village church. I'm interested, but I wouldn't call that like a 5-star first line. But I do have another kind of gothic-y story. This is The House Between Tides by Sarah Main. So this follows a woman named Hetty, who moves from London to her ancestral home in Scotland's Outer Hebrides? I don't know how to say that word. I apologize. She gets there and decides she's going to renovate the place. Unfortunately, while she's renovating, she finds human remains, which kind of stops progress on renovations. And she starts diving into the home's history. It's a very old home, but apparently Theo Blake, who was a painter and a naturalist, lived at this home with his bride, Beatrice, in 1910. Unfortunately, Beatrice vanished. I'm assuming this dead body is Beatrice. What happened to her? We'll have to read it to find out. Okay, let's read the prologue. 1945. The woman stood a moment on the old drive and stared up at the boarded windows, a dark silhouette against the gray walls. Then she turned her back on the house and went down to the blaze on the foreshore. I don't know, like kind of intriguing, but again, not a 5-star first line. And then I got a silly book. I know it's going to be silly, but I can't help it. It's called The Mother-in-Law. And it's kind of like, it's a very light thriller, basically about a horrible mother-in-law. So this follows a woman named Lucy who meets her mother-in-law, her future mother-in-law, and it's like, not good. This is not going to work out well. But no one in the community has ever said anything bad about Diana, this mother-in-law, because she was like a pillar in the community. Everybody seemed to love her. But Diana thinks that her son should have married someone else. Now, Diana is dead. A suicide note found near her body claims that she no longer wanted to live because of the cancer wreaking havoc inside of her. But the autopsy doesn't find any cancer. So what happened to her? I just saw this and I thought, you know, that'll just be a nice fluffy read from me. Okay, let's read the first line. Lucy, I am folding laundry at the kitchen table when the police car pulls up. Sounds like fun, not a 5-star first line. Moving right along, I've got the third book. Fourth book? It might be the 4th book in a series I haven't started. And it's a fantasy series, sci-fi fantasy. What am I doing? I don't know, but this is, I think, book 4 in the Red Rising series. The Red Rising, I think, follows someone trying to get revenge on their home planet, Mars. I don't really want to look into it. Is it okay if I don't read the first line? Because I just feel like it's going to ruin stuff. I'm not going to do it, but I got this. So there's that. Okay, 2 more books, another historical fiction, and then we've got a contemporary book. So this is The Gown, again, gold foiling. I'm into it. This is by Jennifer Robson, and it is about the seamstress who makes Queen Elizabeth's wedding gown. We also flash forwards in time to Toronto, 2016, and this woman has inherited all of this beautiful seamstress work from her late grandmother, and the embroideries that she finds matches Queen Elizabeth II's stunning gown from her wedding. And her grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and it's her story, and it sounds kind of interesting. So let's read the first line of the gown. Again, I've seen this so many times and just kind of passed it by, but there was something about it that I thought maybe it will be lovely. Okay, chapter 1, Anne. Barking, Essex, England, January 31st, 1947. It was dark when Anne left work at 5:45, and darker still when she reached home. Not 5-star first line, but does still sound very interesting. Okay, last but not least is Grownups by Marianne Keyes. This just came out in 2020, and I found it at Value Village, and it was on my radar for so long, and I had to grab it as soon as I saw it. I remember Lauren from Lauren and the Books just loving this book and just having such a lovely time reading this. And she was the one who like made me pick this up, that's for sure. And this follows a family with a lot of drama, but it's also meant to be very humorous. So this is about a gathering of this family that have all sorts of drama. Some people hate each other too much. Some people like each other too much. But everything kind of comes to a head when Ed's wife, Cara, gets a concussion and can't keep her thoughts or opinions to herself. And she says something at a birthday party when everybody's there and starts spilling secrets that weren't supposed to come out. It sounds like a lot of fun. Like, I don't know why, but it seems like a good book to read at Christmas. Anywho, let's read the first line. Johnny Cassie launched into a fit of energetic coughing, a bit of bread down the wrong way. Not a 5-star first line, but it still does look really, really good. So those are all of the books that I got in the last little bit. There are more on the way. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell Barry, but I can't tell myself. I can't. And I refuse to feel badly about getting books and buying books and all of that because it brings me so much joy. And in 2020, we need some of that in our lives. So that's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little book haul, and I'll talk with you later. Bye, guys.